Okay, today I'm going to refurbish the rear shock absorbers. I've already cleaned the unit down and I've got it in the vise ready to take the top off. So first of all, I'm going to take the top off and empty the unit out. Now lift the top off. Doesn't matter too much about the gasket because I've got new ones. Yeah, that looks okay. Right, I'm now going to take the valve out from the bottom. Yeah, that appears to be everything out of there. That off there. So I've given everything a thorough clean in the paraffin bath and blown it all dry with air. I'm going to fit a new gasket. I've said before I got those from Moss Europe, and I'm going to use a 20 weight motorbike fork oil when I fill the units back up. First thing to do is to put the filler plug back in. And also the valve assembly plug. This only needs to be finger tight as it will be coming out later. I'm just putting it in to avoid any spillage that might occur when we fill the unit up. Then carefully fill the unit from the top, and while you're filling it, move the arm through its full extent of travel. This will ensure that the chamber is filled correctly. Once you're full, the top cover and gasket can be refitted. I've used a little Hylamar on the gasket, both sides of it, just to ensure that that I get a good seal. once the top's on tight, the unit needs to be turned on its side so that the valve assembly chamber is pointing upwards. You take the valve plug out, and we're going to continue filling the unit and bleeding it through this chamber. So you need to keep topping that chamber up and at the same time expel the air by moving the arm right across the full range of its movement. You find as you do that the level will drop, so you'll need to keep topping up until all the air is out. I mean, this might not be 100% the correct way to do it. I'm not an expert, but I've done it before, and this way does work. I find it easier once you get nearly to all the air out to just use a syringe, and that way you can just put little bits in at a time. But you can clearly see once the air stops coming out through the fluid, once that happens, you can put the valve assembly back in. I've put some oil, some rag on the floor there because I know when I put it back in a lot of oil is going to be expelled, so just drop that in, tighten it up. I just put it back in the vise and give the unit a test. See, there's lots of resistance, and it's equal resistance right across the full range of travel in both directions. So that's a good result. Pleased with that. Just a quick check to make sure that the filler plug's tight. And as they say, job's a good one. So now we need to do the other side of the rear and then move on to the fronts. Okay, today I'm going to tackle the front shock absorbers. These were a pair of reconditioned ones that were on the car, and they look in reasonably good condition. So what I intend to do is just strip them down, give them a clean and replenish the oil, mainly because on the rear shock absorbers I've used motorbike fork oil, and I want to have the same oil in both sets of shock absorbers. So the first thing I'm going to do is to take the top off and empty the oil out. Well, it's a good job I decided to change the oil, because now I've got the top off, you can see there's an awful lot of thick sludge in the shock absorber, and there in the top. So what I'll do now is I'll strip it down and give it a good clean out in the paraffin bath. Right, that's everything cleaned out, looks a lot better now. I've also cleaned the valve system. Have to be careful when you're taking this apart, because sometimes there's a shim between the spring and this seat of the valve. In this instance there isn't, but with the other shock absorber on the other side there is. So if you take those apart, be careful to make sure you get it back together in the right place. Okay, so I'm now going to put the valve back in, and then I'll fill it up with oil, and I'm going to bleed it in exactly the same way as I did the rear shock absorbers. So that's the front and rear shock absorbers now all finished, and coat of satin black paint on them. So hopefully they can be put away in a box now, and they'll be ready to put on the car when I start to rebuild it.